there's something about being back home that everybody wants to look out for each other. Like over here, it damn near feels like a rat race. Everybody's just like, oh man, I'm trying to get it on my own. Over there, it's just like, nah, we're trying to get it together.
The One More Time Music Podcast. Genuine conversations with genuine people about music. Hosted by Henry with a 3 and Playback Ben.
We're from Beamer Coops to Pencils. Don't want this to end, so part that one more time. Part that one more time. Part that shit like one more time. They part that one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the One More Time podcast. I'm your host, Playback Ben, here with my co-host.
Henry with a 3. Henry with an E was already taken, so we made an adjustment.
Henry, who do we have on the podcast today?
Today on the podcast, welcoming in Usain Bolt with dreads. Grew him pretty fast, too. I don't know where that...
And he has a beard.
Yeah.
Quick hair lesson. You got to address them as locks.
Locks.
Because apparently...
I've made that mistake before, Henry.
No, this is like some real stuff. Like when I was choosing to get this, granted, apparently I have what's called trendy locks because I don't have like the real free form where they grow.
Okay.
But when you research the Rastafarian culture, they're really big on, you know, semantics and like word because they believe it has so much power, and it does. So they try to stay away from calling it dreadlocks because there's nothing dreadful about the crown.
Ooh.
So they just address it as locks.
Wow.
Somebody put me up on game. I was like, yo, that's powerful.
And now we're on game. And now
Kids,
you guys are on game.
Don't make the same mistake as Henry.
These are locks.
These are trendy locks.
Yeah,
not just any fucking locks. But
No, but my shit still, I shouldn't have said that. He said it's trendy locks. That's funny. No, you got it.
In all seriousness, Henry, who do we have on the podcast today?
This is legendary Atlanta recording artist Prohaize, man. Give it up.
Bless up. It's
Prohaize in the building.
We appreciate you coming on today, man.
I'm glad to be here.
And, you know, we know each other. We've worked together. Yeah. But honestly, in doing some of the research and preparation, I think that there's a lot of your story that I'm excited to help you tell today. Because obviously, we've worked together on a couple, you know, songs with Henry. One that's out. One that, you know, hopefully will see the light of day soon enough.
I think it will.
But it's
really
cool. It's really cool for me to sit here with you today, man, and help you tell the story of kind of where you've come from, where you're at, and where you're going. So let's dive right in. You have a project, African born, American raised.
Yeah.
So that's not a metaphor.
Yeah.
Literally, you are African born and American raised. Where were you born?
So I was born in the mountainside of Ghana. It's an area called the Equapemang region.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, you got
it. It's a geography lesson and a hair lesson.
Say it one more time.
Today.
Equapemang.
Equapemang?
Equapemang.
Equapemang?
Equapemang.
Equapemang.
I say that for sure.
So growing up in Ghana, what type of music were you exposed to at a young age?
Oh man, so all kinds of music. You know, of course, there's a lot of the traditional things that, you know, they're speaking the native tongue, which is Tree, and I still speak that language. So lots of heavy drums,
percussion based,
exactly. You know, but more so like the bongos and whatnot, right? So heavy on that. But then, you know, the older I got, the more I got exposed to, like, you know, cassette tapes and things of that sort. And then there was this guy, man, he's still a legend to this day. He was like I call him the Ghanaian Drake. His name is Daddy Lumba.
Ooh.
Right?
Daddy Lumba?
Yes. If you at a party and you needed to like start jumping and just go crazy, put on some Daddy Lumba, right? Because he had the records that were like super party. Like this was one that's like Poison. He's like, poison. It's like anytime that
sounded like a Drake melody already.
Yeah.
Bro, man was just vibes. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he also would put out like records like, you know, Dangerous, which was like a super like introspective song about like women and men and how it's similar to like Lauryn Hill. But long story short, you know, between him, there's a cat named Kojo Entry. He really powerful music. So a lot of just like traditional music is what I grew up on. The name of the genre at the time is called High Life. That's the name of it. High Life.
Really?
Yeah, lots of High Life for sure.
Is there any like global, like mainstream, any like American kind of music going on over there when you're there?
So yeah, so I mean, I would say anything that was popping over here was popping over there because like they would just serve us whatever top 40 is. So from the Michael Jacksons to I'm trying to think of like the people that were popping in the 90s, right? So all the R&B groups and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cisco was really big.
Interesting.
And, you know,
so the thong song made it over to Ghana?
Look, if it was booming over here, it was booming over there.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't as hip to like the American stuff. I'd say the biggest person that kind of cut through for me was Tupac Shakur. Like anytime I would hear him, like, you know, somebody blasting his stuff from Changes to like all the other stuff, Keep Your Head, I'm like, yo, man, this dude is like really spitting. Yeah. But I was a kid, so I didn't know how to get music. So I just kind of vibe with it when it come on. But that was,
so was it coming on the radio or like at friends' houses or something? Or
radio, yeah, for sure. So radio, you know, family and friends and stuff, they will probably have it, and I'll just like, you know, be around them like, yo, I don't know this guy, but he's so good. You know
what I'm saying? So that's awesome. So growing up in Africa, what kind of values would you say maybe were instilled in you because of the African culture, right? Versus what you know, because you moved to America at the age of 13, I think, right?
It was actually 9.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, so it was a little younger, but still some of your earlier formative years. Yeah. What do you think are some of the values you attribute to, you know, your experience growing up in Ghana?
None. I was a bad little kid. I'm not even like lying because so like to back up a little bit, like my life story, my mom, she has me, right? By 6 months, I'm 6 months old. She decides to come over here to the US, right? And she's kicking and screaming because my grandma's saying, you have to do this so you can go set up a better life for everybody else. So my mom and dad were both over here. I'm 6 months old. And my mom is like, who's going to breastfeed him? Who's going to, like, she's trying to figure this out, but it's some real shit. Yeah. So as I was growing up, you know, obviously I left at 9, but in between that 6 months to 9, I was a bad little kid because, and I think it was just a matter because I would see everybody else with their mom and dad. And I'm like, well, my mom and dad, they don't love me, right? And so I would just like lash out. I would be the most disrespectful kid. I was always up to no good. And I was semi-sheltered as well. So, you know, like they say, the child that is not embraced by the village will burn things down to feel its warmth. So everywhere I go, I'm just like ripping things up. And
can we, so on the One More Time
it's podcast, early, but I mean,
usually we reserve this for gyms, but that's kind of a gym though. What we
no, I just mean usually takes a long time for people to get to a gym.
Yeah, we ask that you repeat it one more time for the people in the back that didn't quite hear it the first time.
So the child that's not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth.
Wow.
Right. And that's how I was. I wasn't necessarily as loved because I was so confused, like where my parents at kind of thing. So I would just lash out and do all kinds of things. Now, later on, as I got older, so probably 8 or 9 from school and things of that sort, I did get instilled with more discipline. It took a lot of belts and a lot of sticks and whippings and stuff like that. Sure. But at that point, that's when I got more discipline. I got the, you know, looking at my uncle and how he hustled, I got more just working hard. Like anything you do, you got to work for it. You can't expect no handouts.
And really, they were just trying to set up a better life for you. But maybe at that age, that's a hard thing to kind of understand. Right?
It is.
You just wonder why they're not there.
It is, exactly. And another thing was just family. You know what I'm saying? I can speak better to it, especially when I compare like how I see things here versus how I see things in Africa. But it's just like there's something about being back home that everybody wants to look out for each other. Like over here, it damn near feels like a rat race. Everybody's just like, oh man, I'm trying to get it on my own. Over there, just like, nah, we're trying to get it together. You know what I'm saying? It's even this thing that's like it's called asanka, right? It's a pot. And when the food comes, you know, we all put the food in together and like we all dip in with our hands and eat together. So there's more of that collective success as opposed to individual success. And I think that's one of the things that I learned growing up.
Asanka.
No, asanka. Yeah, get some asanka, man. We'll bust out anything you want. We'll eat together. You know what I mean? It's powerful.
So moving to America at the age of 9, how did you feel about that? Were you excited about that? Or were you sad to leave? You know, what you were leaving behind? What was it, a mixed bag of emotions? How did you feel?
I hit him with the peace when it was time. I was like, it's really real, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm about to goddamn.
Yeah. Oh wow.
No. So really, there's this big perception overseas that everybody in America is successful. Yeah. My perception, because all we have to go by, our only reference point is what we see on TV. Yeah. So on TV, people are always laughing, having a good time. You know what I'm saying? And we have joy as well, but it just was like, you know, y'all have drop tops and y'all have like a lot more electricity. We have electricity too, but it's just not as much, right? So things were just abundant to me in the US. So coming here, I was just like happy. I thought I could just walk on the road and pick up gold bricks and I'll be rich by like the second week. You know what I'm saying? But just my expectation, really, the thing was I was just, as much as I was still rebellious towards my parents, I was just happy to be reunited. I was happy to be with my little sister and my older brother because we lived in 2 different towns.
Did you guys immediately come to Atlanta or?
I guess sort of, because everywhere it's apparently Atlanta, but it's more so Decatur. We was right up on like
the greater
estates.
Sure, the greater Atlanta though. Yeah. Like okay, so you moved here and you end up going to Georgia State. to study.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were
Shout out Georgia State one time, by the way. Go Panthers.
Henry's like 6 credits away from graduating still.
One day I'll finish.
One day we rooting for you.
Yeah, you can do it, buddy. So you end up at Georgia State. Tell us about the Digital Aquarium.
Shout out the Digital Aquarium.
Man.
Because it was something I had heard Henry mention before. And then when I was, speaking with, someone close to you, he mentioned you were a part of this thing called the Digital Aquarium.
Yeah.
Tell the people what that is.
Yeah, shout out to the DAQUA, man, the Digital Aquarium.
The DAQUA?
The DAQUA.
Was that,
yeah,
is that
it's like a short form.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So the thing about Digital Aquarium, it was less of a like a group and more of just a space, a creative, damn near incubator of like, if you want to get it, you come here and you get it. Because the Digital Aquarium, so literally the setup is a bunch of Macs, right? So a bunch of designers would come in there and design their things. And then in the cut was a studio, right? We in college, you trying to figure things out ramen noodle style. So we ain't got the funds to go to a Tree Sound or, so on and so forth, right? So
find out about this little place that has Pro Tools loaded up on a Mac.
Yeah, so literally, and you have to like
You're in
reserve
heaven.
it. You do, and everybody's trying to rap, so like you have to reserve it ahead of time. But the thing was, when you run in there, you're gonna run into rappers, you're gonna run into producers, and the people even at the front were all cool. They were all creatives, so they're gonna give you resources throughout the city. That's the beautiful thing about Georgia State; it's right in the middle of the city. So being there was just like a great chance to just meet everybody, man. Like I ran into Zip back then, Will Hill, all them cats.
Shout out Zip K.
Zip K, a big shout out to Zip K, man. And then, that's essentially where I met one of the most life-changing relationships I've ever had, which is Jake.
Yeah.
Jake Schmutz. That's where we met in Digital Aquarium.
Big shout out to Jake.
Big shout out to Jake, man.
I love, anyone that's come on the podcast has had a person, a few people that just have been instrumental
Set
in
it off
them
for 'em.
and them, chasing their dreams, following their dreams, trying to make this happen. Because I think, the takes a village to raise a child type of mentality. It does take a team.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it by themselves.
Exactly. So it's neat to hear that. So
Except for Russ.
yeah,
He's the closest thing.
He literally gave birth to himself. Right? He mixes and masters, he writes, he does everything by himself.
He does. Fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
He said it.
That's it.
but I mean, you have a little bit of that in you, I think, from what I heard, as far as if there's something that you needed done, you weren't shy about learning how to produce.
Oh, no.
And
Record
learning how to
himself
record
and-
yourself.
Yeah.
We asked this man for a verse a couple months ago. I think it was like, hours later, this man just got in his own little home studio, wrote it and recorded it and sent it to us like the same day.
Added sound effects to it, ad-libs.
Had drops and shit. Yeah, it's amazing.
So you hustled your ass off to win a contest
Yeah.
at Georgia State
Good times.
to open up for
Luda.
a household Atlanta name, global, actually, Ludacris.
Ludacris.
What was
We'd
that
love
show
to have
like?
you on the podcast,
Ludacris,
by the way.
we'd love to have you on, man.
Yes.
You know where to find us. No, you don't, but we're here in Smoke Rise, Stone Mountain area.
Yeah.
One More Time Studios.
Let's get it. One more
So
time.
tell us about opening up for Luda.
Yeah, so open up for Luda, I would say if there are very few life-changing experiences, like I can literally point to that time as like a life-changing experience. Because up until that point, I was just kind of doing music for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And when that happened, it just, stepping on the stage in front of the, thousands of people out there in the Georgia State arena and whatnot was just like, oh my gosh, like all the hard work, all the hustling done paid off. You know what I'm saying? And, backstage, I remember like we got to talk for a little bit. And typically artists don't be trying to mess with the openers. Like, yeah, go open and I'm the main show, all right? But he was so down to earth. And he was just like, yo, I can tell you got a lot of hunger in you. Never lose that. You know what I'm saying? And anybody can say that, but like when you getting it from the big dog that's like up there already, it means everything. You know what I'm saying? So it just told me, I'm like, yo, Jake, we can really take this to like the highest of highs of length. You know what I'm saying? We just got to keep going. So at that point was just so defining of like, all right, I'm going to take this music thing seriously because one, it was a lot of hard work leading up to that point, but the reward is what inspired me to believe that.
Who is Jake at that point? Is he
Man,
kind of just helping you out? Is he
yeah,
managing
literally
you?
that. He literally was a combination of a hype man and DJ at this time. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even officially the manager yet, but that was not too far after that he became that. So Jake was just that. He was also a producer. He was producing some of my records and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point I was realizing, I was like, man, I can't produce everything. So maybe I need to take a backseat and let him maybe take over. And he was somebody I trusted with that. So he was serving a lot of different hats, man. Shout out to Jake for real.
Yeah, shout out Jake.
Yeah.
So what did you like most about the live experience? Like, not just the Luda, you know, performance, but just what do you love about a live show?
So the live show is really how I came up, man. Like, I was never, it's funny, my brother, you always tell me, you need to just spend like time in the studio. And I actually wasn't spending time in the studio. I would spend time on stages. I didn't care what the open mic was. I was at so many open mics, right? Yeah. I was on so many stages. So really that's how I came up. And I learned, man, it's just like, if you really want to convince people, you need to get in front of them in person. You know what I'm saying? And also it just shows how much you believe in yourself, right? So for me, it was just about, you know, putting that to practice and like, you know, making sure it makes sense. And at the end, it was like, all right, I've practiced for all these months in front of all these smaller crowds. Now I got this big crowd. So I wasn't even nervous about it. I'm more nervous about smaller crowds versus big crowds, because I'm just like, okay, I can see all 20 of y'all. You know what I'm saying? And a big crowd is like, it's too many of y'all for me to give a damn. I just need to show up and show out. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just learned, I was like, man, like this is where you can take it. You know, you can get to a point where like you get in front of thousands and so on and so forth. And I've gone on to perform in bigger stages since Georgia State. So that was a really strong seed that was planted at that point. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I feel like you saw something so important about the live show. Yeah. That once again, you kind of said, fuck this, I'm taking this into my own hands. Yeah. And you started to promote or put on little showcases and events, right? Even going as far as you rented a house, right? Or so where Jake was staying at the time, shout out to 270 Milton Ave, yo. We literally were up in that spot. He rented it from somebody, all right? So it was like 3 or 4 people in there, roommates, college kids trying to figure shit out, not that far from Georgia State. So we just decided, all right, you know what? We're gonna like throw on a bunch of house parties, right? And then the house parties was a chance to just connect with different people and just party, obviously have a good time because we in college. And I would also perform, and I would bring out some of my buddies from the campus to come and perform, and it just kind of became a thing. So much so that it evolved into like this really super dope event that we had called Creative Vibes Cookout, which was at the same spot but in the backyard. Now that one was a concert and a cookout. So we had my buddy Chef Mel. He was like throwing down, going crazy. Still one of my best friends to this day. And then we also got our first sponsorship. That was life blowing for us.
Who was it?
Yeah, Dos Equis was the way. Was the sponsor. Yeah.
Really?
Wow. Sure. And that was a Jake Connect too.
So they're just throwing beer at you for these parties.
Literally, like, oh, bro, it was a whole lot. You know
and there was definitely no underage drinking going on.
Statute of limitations don't apply, so yeah. But
they weren't checking IDs at the door.
Nah,
it was only juniors and seniors in college that were showing up at the parties.
Exactly.
No freshmen or sophomores.
Nah, none whatsoever. But like what blew my mind was just, I was like, holy crap, like companies are really trying to just like throw things for visibility, right? Yeah. So that was like an early taste of like, you know, that side of event curating. Yeah. And like we went on to like do other concerts and stuff. But that one was another life-changing sort of experience defining moment for us.
So you're really like kind of just making your own shows, kind of disguising them as parties, you know, to get people in the door. And then boom, like, now you're at my show.
Now you're welcome, motherfucker. This is what it is.
It's kind of genius.
Was it that thoughtful? Because it is a genius marketing strategy sitting here today discussing it, but was it intentional at that point too? Of like, I'm going to put this on to further my career, or did you really just want to put those events on for the fuck of it? It
was less about just being so self-serving. It was just about like, all right, what are the different things that people love to do? And we all like to kind of hang out and have a good time. Right. Yeah. So we would go to different events and it's like, yo, we can do this much better. Like, it's like even me getting into music, I was just like, I'm listening to the material at the time, 2010, 2011. I'm like, I could do this much better. That's why I want to get in. Like, I don't hear enough bars. Like, everybody want to like snap your fingers, and that's cool. Like, I'll show up and snap my fingers too, but I'm like, I want some bars. So when I started, I wasn't even singing. So whether it was from the events or it was from music, it was always like, man, I see these people doing it, but we can do it much better, put a much better sauce on it. So that was like the approach for Creative Vibes Cookout. Now, I'm an artist, so if we got a performance element to it, obviously I'm going to plug myself in the best performance slot too. You know what I'm saying? Where the crowd is, you know, maximum. I'm like, hey, you can go right now. It's like 20 people. Oh, now it's like 75, 80. All right, I'm going to go on. You know what I'm saying? So I just like having more control. And I think really as a creative, you're able to magnetize more people when you have platforms.
Yeah.
Even one more time, this is a platform.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if Henry, if just a producer and like that, you can connect with so many people. That's powerful. But the more you just extend your platforms and your reach, now you can tap into more people. Now you can bring in like a Chad Tanise, who I got a crazy story about him. Because we worked together before.
Shout out Chad, man.
Shout out Chad. I heard the episode. I loved it.
Great episode.
So funny, man. Some of his stories were like shit you really can't believe it. You're like, wait, Jeezy did what to you early on in your career?
55 fucking thousand. Like, yo, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was wild to me. I didn't even know that about that whole thing. So, but again, it was just about building platforms. So I think I just realized back then, it was like, all right, the more you build platforms, the more you can, one, bring people together. And obviously, as a creative, you can also capitalize.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the entity. It's not just the personal kind of brand. You're making a thing.
That's it.
That could become anything.
That's it.
What were some of your influences? Who were some of your influences musically that made you, that made you want to try and do music?
Like really get into it.
Yeah.
I'd say easily Tupac. It was still, at this point, I had gotten to the US. So I could now access my own, whatever I want to access. So I just got a chance to, just kind of study more into his music, what I'm saying, from Tupacalypse Now, which was like his debut album, all the way through, just like you name it, I was just soaking up, his material. So it's funny, like when I first started rapping back then, and I'm trying to remember any of my songs, this is like middle school. I would literally try to rap like I'm Tupac, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like literally trying to rap like I'm Tupac. Yeah. And that was like my, how I came into it. So I say he was a huge just inspiration for me. But later on down the line, easily Kanye West. Kanye West with his confidence, just how he approaches things and how he approaches music, you know what I'm saying? And using his vocals as an instrument. An instrument. Right? Like I was just so inspired by it. So I'd say between those two, man, those are like a huge foundation for my material.
The big word that you just used for me is confidence. Because there's something about the conviction, the believability. Yeah. It's like you don't even have to agree with what these guys are saying. Yeah. You can just tell that they mean it. That's it. And they believe it, and you feel that. That's like it's like how cults get started. You know what I mean? Like facts. Like, whoa, like this guy, I believe him. I'm listening to what he's saying now. And those are two guys that stick out to me as like you believe what they're saying when they're speaking or singing or rapping. That's exactly it. And a third, for me, was also The Dream. Right? Oh, really? The Dream is so slept on to me in a sense of just like his talent and just his songwriting ability. At the time, what really stuck out to me about The Dream was his album sequencing. Like I think that's really a lost art. Like people don't sit down and say, how do I transition from this song to that? You know what I'm saying? And he had this like, I'm trying to remember exactly which one. It was like 3 songs, right? It started out Nikki and then goes off into this other song and then it goes into Yamaha. And it's just like, bro, what he did was he would take bits and pieces of the song and put it in the next one. Yes. So it's almost like growing and growing on top of each other. And then by the time you're done, it's just like this complete beautiful transition through the project. No skips. So you mentioned a few, I would say more personal characteristics of, or at least artist branding characteristics of Kanye. The believability, the confidence, right? What would you say are some of the characteristics that you either draw from, personally and bring out into your artistry, or just, if you were to be described with a few adjectives? I like asking this question to know kind of what our guests think of, how they want to be perceived. Yeah. So I would say it's multiple layers. Number one is definitely passion. Like when I'm talking about things, you're going to feel the passion about it, right? Like especially on relationships, right? Especially on like the hustle and the grind, because I live this. So it's just like when I talk about it, it's just natural, like it pours out of me. So passion is a huge thing. Another thing is also just somebody who's going to go and get it. I'm not sure if Jake told you about the whole Justice Trail thing, but when I have that conviction about something, like you gonna feel it as well. So that's something that comes across, especially in the music. And then ultimately, even like when I'm doing my live performances, you're gonna be like, yo, this is somebody who believes in what he is like presenting and giving to us, right? So all those things definitely are ingrained from my music, from my branding, from my live performances, so on and so forth. Like all those things are there, for sure. So you mentioned the Justice Trail, excuse me. Yeah. I mean, when I heard about that from you first and then hearing more about it and doing my own research, I mean, holy cow. Incredible. Yeah. Tell the people what the heck
Justice Trail was, what you did, what it meant to you. Like, talk to us about it, because that is an incredible part of your story that I definitely think that people can gain a lot of insights from.
Listen up, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
for sure. Love.
Look him in the eye and say, "Listen up, motherfuckers."
Listen up, peeps.
He's such a kind soul. He can't even cuss at you guys.
No, it's love. So Justice Trail was a campaign where I walked and biked from Atlanta, Georgia, starting from Ebenezer Baptist Church, the Church of Martin Luther King, all the way to the Statue of Liberty in New York. So that means I'm literally, waking up every day. I would either run 30 miles or I'm biking 60 plus miles. You know what I'm saying?
Unreal.
Every day.
Crazy.
Like on foot. Like I'm traveling on foot. Like no car, no nothing. I'm seeing the countryside, the roads. I'm there, bro. From like 7 in the morning till like as late as Jake will allow me, because he was damn near like a chaperone or something in that process. Like, yo, we gotta quit for the night, man. You might get hit by a car. Like it's a whole argument. But ultimately, we did this campaign because it was kind of at a part where like a lot of the police killings were getting so crazy.
Yep.
And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to just put out a hashtag. I didn't want to just retweet. I didn't want to repost. I wanted to simply connect with a lot of people with different perspectives and just understand like, yo, this is taking a lot. It's taking a toll on me. I don't know how to feel, what the process, because it's like, it almost feels like, what can we do? But like, how do you see things? You know what I'm saying? So up in North Carolina, South Carolina, which obviously is predominantly white, it's like I'm talking to people along the way to see how they feel about things, all the way through the more liberal parts, which is, further up north and stuff. And that was the most powerful part about it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was biking and running and all that stuff, all those miles, but the most powerful part was the connection to the people.
Yeah.
And then ultimately what we were getting at was, how can we have more tangible solutions to start solving the issue of police brutality? And for us at the time, it was like, we feel like there's a need for more transparency in the interaction between police officers and the people, which was body cameras, right? And there was like a way to approach it. So we was just like, okay, all right, that's what we're gonna like champion and like basically advocate for. And we even still on the site, you go to justicetrail.org on the site today, we basically update which states have passed body camera legislation, and which states, like, we provide the senator information for people to reach out and advocate for it, because we think it's a huge thing. Now, it's not the end all be all. Like, there's a campaign called Campaign Zero, right?
Yeah,
which
Campaign
was
Zero.
They inspired us early on because they had like 10 different things that the world, the U.S. needs to do to really actually overcome police brutality. And one of those things were body cameras. There are more things needed, but for us, it was like, how do we start with one thing?
Yeah.
So we just advocated for that through Justice Trail. And then at the end of it, there was a documentary, right, which featured the actual journey, number one. And number two, a lot of commentary for a lot of folks. I actually collaborated with Jadena, Roman Gianather, Aria, like a bunch of amazing people, activists from the scene, right, just to get their commentary, see how they feel. We put it all together to encapsulate the whole entire experience, and then we put it out there. And it's on YouTube. You search Justice Trail, it's going to pop up. You're going to see me going through it, struggling, but also connecting with people along the way and presenting some of those conversations.
And never giving up.
Never giving up.
Making it.
For sure.
How long did it take?
It was, I'm sure, it was somewhere in the 20s. It was no more than a month, but it was like 20-something days.
Yeah.
To be honest, oh my God, I still can't believe that happened. Like, to be honest, I sit back, I'm like, yo, like, what was running through your mind? But
it's got to make you think, like, if I could do that, like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
It's almost like, what am I capable of? I can push myself and do something like this.
Yeah.
Maybe I have some like untapped powers.
Yeah, I keep bringing it up, but like I have several life defining moments, and that was a huge one.
Huge,
for me.
It's got to be
for sure.
I just hearing that the Justice Trail project and that whole initiative that you spearheaded. I mean, holy shit! Like that was so cool. And for me to be able to call you a friend and like know that you've accomplished something like that. Like, the music is great. I love your music. We'll get into that, shortly, but
for sure.
Holy cow. I mean, I think that stuff is just inspirational for anyone. I mean, for something you believe in, to take it to that level of sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And that's physical sacrifice, obviously, emotional sacrifice, to be connecting with people and, help tell their perspective on the critical, matter.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man.
Some Gandhi shit right there, man.
No, seriously. And it's something that, Henry and I have definitely talked about. How can we, make a stand with something else, right? Because it's just bigger than music.
It is.
I think.
Yes, it is.
Music is great, and it's what holds us, down, and it brought us together. So I can't say it's not important, but just something like that, man. I mean, that if music fell off the face of the earth, like still something like that can stand the test of time, and that's like incredible. So you talked about you've had a lot of projects in your discography over the years since you've been an artist. Dear 20-something, I know it's one of your more recent projects of the bunch, but I mean, it is such an amazing body of work.
Classic.
Do you feel like you got better throughout the years, that is kind of what you hold now as the standard from a album perspective, or is there another one that you think that is a little nearer and dearer to your heart, would you say? Yeah,
I say Dear 20-something is my favorite release project to date. And I know it's my favorite because, artists, they're quick to like archive things and, pull it down and whatnot. But that one is just, I think it just stands the test of time. It was from, 2 years ago and whatnot. Yeah. And it's still, like, I still play each track. I'm still so excited about it. You know what I'm saying?
Me too, man. I'm serious. Like, it's in constant rotation for me.
Yeah, that means everything.
It's an amazing project.
Appreciate the streams. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, seriously.
Appreciate that. But ultimately, I have grown since that time period. And I think even the record that, H3 and I worked on, Kryptonite, which I'm rocking the merch. Shout out.
Can we show the people that hoodie? That is a beautiful
listen here
hoodie.
Right? I might be burning up a little bit, but trust me, that's because this thing is flames. You feel me? This is fire.
Ben, zoom in on that for the edit.
Sure. He's sweating, but it's totally worth it right now.
And you can't tell on the camera how comfortable these are, by the way.
No, they're super comfy.
It's the softest thing I've ever put on my body.
Yeah, right. How'd you guys meet? Tell us about how you guys ended up linking up.
That's a great story, actually.
Man, we jump in. Okay, hold on. Let me say. So how did Henry and I meet? So ultimately, well, first and foremost, backtrack. In like an earlier part of my life, we was doing Creations of Bliss, right? Which was the DJing. That was me and Jake. Me and Jake had that company, Creations of Bliss. And we were DJing, doing videos, all kinds of. We had a residency at Top Golf. And like one day we needed somebody to fill in. That person couldn't fill in. So that person recommended Henry. So we crossed paths at that point. Like
DJ Henry.
That's what I'm saying, DJ Henry.
It's few and far between anytime he's getting behind the boards. But,
Top Golf was the pinnacle of my DJ career thus far.
Here we go. Between that and even the show that we had,
he might dust off the turntables soon. So
it's possible.
Yeah, he did for the Kryptonite show, which is dope.
Yeah, yes, sir. Sure.
But ultimately, that's where we first met. But it wasn't clicking as far as artists to produce. It was just more of like he's coming in to make sure that we don't lose our damn residency contract. So great,
right?
Good job, Henry.
Right? Yeah, appreciate you. So.
The bar was just, can someone DJ?
I was the backup's backup.
Yeah.
And Jake is so,
you really took it to the next level.
Jake is so anal about stuff. He literally, I think he provided like all the things to play.
The music and shit.
Like he was like, play all of this. Don't try to experiment.
So
don't try to.
So I could have done it.
Literally, bro. Like anybody.
But it was like clean music only too.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of that. So I was kind of grateful for it. Yeah. At the same time.
Thanks, Jake.
For sure.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, that was a crossing path thing, but we didn't really like connect like that, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, we also just kind of met at an event, and at that time it was just like, let's exchange IGs. It still wasn't like we gonna work. You know what I'm saying? You know how you meet anybody like, yo, we gonna work. Let's lock in. It was literally like, oh, yo, you're dope. I like your energy. Let's exchange IGs, right? And then fast forward to getting into Kryptonite and whatnot. He just reached out. And whatnot, and
the moment I remember is So you live at the same complex as like one of my best friends.
Oh, I did forget about that.
And I'm going to my best friend's place. We're going to go out somewhere. And he had like already left somehow. I missed him. So I get to his place. They're not even there. So I'm just standing out front of this place, like waiting on an Uber. Here comes Prohaize coming coming down the road. And I'm like, yo. And he's like, yo. And we linked up like that. And at the time, we hadn't even put the DJ thing together yet. I remembered that way later that I had already met you. That was crazy that we had already met. After we met again, that's a weird story. But it worked out somehow.
It did. And I'm glad it did, right? Because again, the song like Kryptonite is one of the most well-received records. You know what I'm saying? Obviously the numbers reflect, but people just kept saying like, yo, man, I can't believe like you went to that place even vocally. And it was just like thanks to that chemistry that, was sparked in the studio. You know what I'm saying? From this production and just like us talking about different things. So
let's play a snippet from it real quick.
Let's definitely play.
Yeah. This is Kryptonite by Prohaize, featuring production by your guy here, Henry with the 3.
Baby, come on over to my kryptonite. I can love you cause you be my kryptonite.
what we like, let's do what we like. I don't want no love, so you wanna fight. That's all the spite, girl. So you gon' hit me another day, another night, girl. My mama said I need to settle with the right girl.
That was Kryptonite by you guys. You know,
H3, baby.
That was an amazing experience. I mean, Henry, what was it like working with this guy? Because you have, you know, obviously I have my own experience, but I think from a collaborator perspective, would love to hear what it was like.
He is, he's very open to things, you know, he's very like accepting, and, you know, he would let me try a lot of things. A lot of them didn't work, you know, but he'd let me give it a try, and we always, you know, would find a way to get there. So to me, that's how you can kind of like get to the coolest stuff. Yeah. To really get the really crazy, cool, new kind of sound, you have to go through like all types of sound that don't work. Yeah. And you have to be willing to try 10 things that don't work, you know, to get to the one thing that's like, whoa, that really works. Yeah. So we naturally kind of fell into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think something you're always talking about is being willing to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And it's not to say that you need to force something or do something that's completely off the wall, right? But if you're always leaning and pushing that comfort zone, that's something I hear you talk to artists about a lot. And I think that it sounds like that's what you guys...
I think you need to be comfortable to be able to experiment, you know? Like maybe in a comfortable place, and then then you can kind of feel good about like venturing out from where you're normally at, you know?
What are you working on now? Because obviously Kryptonite was last year. Yeah. But I know you've had your single Make It. Yeah. Which another amazing, you know,
shout out to Make
inspirational kind of community oriented song, right? Yeah. That I think speaks to some of the characteristics that you embrace, right? As a person, like, you know, we're gonna make this. Like, we can do it. Kind of
this that. My people trying to make.
Yeah, exactly.
This my people trying to make. Yeah.
Yep. So that was your most recent single. Yeah. Obviously, you know, still kind of, you know, promoting that. But what's on the horizon? Are you working on a project? Are you you know, working on yourself? What's going on? In your world?
Working on self is very key. We need to just like have a segment of like self and like all the things learned, honestly. But ultimately, I am working on a project. I'd say the project is easily 70%, you know, written and like, you know what I mean, like even recorded. Because having the studio in my spot, I can just easily jump in the studio and cut. Yep. I'm now in a space where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna release it like in singles, one by one. It's crazy. I was just talking to Zip before I came here. We got a song that's coming real soon, real soon. And I'm excited about that collaboration. But it's just about me taking my time to like kind of put things out more gradually. Starting with, you know, obviously Kryptonite, that was a lot further back, but then coming with Make It, like all these tracks are going to be on the album, right? But I like to just kind of
Do we just hear that you're going to make his album? Is this a live revelation that you just made the album, man?
I didn't know.
No, he actually is on the. It's another song that's for show on the project, and it's like remember that one's like dun, like every time that they did not believe, I believed in me. Yeah, love that song.
We got to finish it.
Yeah, we do. We dead ass do.
I feel like Henry hides all the great songs from me. He sends me like the ones I don't even need it. No, I'm just kidding.
We just make a lot of songs.
Yeah, it's a deep cut of a record though. It's a deep cut. For sure.
But if it's something from Prohaize, you know I got to hear it.
I'll send it to you after this podcast.
Okay,
it's love.
Thank you.
It's love. So, you know, I'm just in a space where it's like, all right, I'm going to put out the project. I know for sure by next year. Before I get to that point, though, people going to get a lot of singles, get some videos, get some, you know, some even live performances. That's something I'm setting up now, right? So that's the space that I'm currently in.
Cool. In a world of singles, because I think even with Dear 20-something, it was a lot of singles. That ended up then.
Everything was a single. It was like 9 songs were singles, and then the 10th song was just like, all right, we're going to add this on and then package it.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to me.
That's the extreme version of that.
That's really extreme, but I guess
I kind of like
it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never know, once again, the sequencing is great. Yeah. So are you keeping in mind sequencing for a project as you're rolling out these singles? Yeah. Or does it come out? Like, I'm really curious on like how that all works, because to me, if it was just 9 dope singles to then have to sequence them and it really work, is that just a coincidence that you got lucky and that was just, it worked? Do you know what I mean?
I'm way too intentional.
Okay,
you have to be so intentional it hurts, right? But for me, ultimately, it was a matter of just capitalizing on the time, right? Yeah. So for example, when I even dropped Make It not too long ago, it was like, yo, WizKid and Thames that you don't need no Wada, but that's killing it right now. You know, I can't let them be running the streets all summer. You know what I'm saying? I got to put something out to give the summer vibes. So that's why I put that out. It was just capitalizing on time. And one of my favorite quotes, actually, and I think this is really important for musicians, also is there also technically is no such thing as a perfect time. There's just time in which you decide to do with it. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, because that was a huge gem. Sum that one up for us again.
So there's no such thing as the perfect time. There's just time and what you decide to do with it. You know what I'm saying? So as a creative, I can...
It's good stuff.
Like, good one.
I'm not gonna lie, I can overthink sometimes, but most of the time when I just sit down and say, all right, what do I want to do? I got this catalog. Shit, let's just drop this one based on this time. Whatever, put it out. And the reception's like, oh my God, this is so dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else you got? You know what I mean? So it's just like, all right, let me give more to the people, which I'm, again, like that Zip record, I think people are really going to love. I love that song. You know what I mean? So for me, I just get to that space where it's like, all right, let's put more things out, right? And then when we get to the project, I'm going to sequence it based on, you know, the material, the message, and the sound transitioning. Shout out to The Dream, like I said, you know, album sequencing, how everything can fit into each other. So for me, it's not really a problem because vocally, there's a lot of cohesion.
Yeah,
right?
you have a sound that makes it probably easier to sequence than some people who are all over the place.
Yeah, between the sound and also it's just essentially the message that I'm putting throughout the records. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it easy to transition them in and out. And then I'll go in and like, you know, like on Dear 20-something, there's that levitate transition to, or the hesitate to transition to levitate, stuff like that. I think about that ahead of time. And when I have it done, I'm going to put this one out, put that out. But on a project, it comes together beautifully. So that's just how I'm looking at the music. You know what I mean? I'm very intentional about not the releases only, but even like the album, because that's important to me.
Yeah. How would you describe your sound?
My sound?
Yeah.
That's a great question. That's actually a really great question. For me, my sound is a combination, if I'm to start from the layman term part, is a combination of hip hop meets soul meets Afro beats. That is the ingredients, that's the recipe right there for my sound, right? But ultimately, I've grown to a point, and I was very bar heavy when I started on, but I've grown to a point where it's a lot more melodic and a lot more easy to digest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's an international sound because I've had to jump between so many different worlds. So I understand pulling from those experiences. It's something that, you know, if you're somebody who is sort of a global citizen, if you will, you travel, you're into culture, things of that sort, you're gonna just rock with. You can be like, yo, like hearing the track like Make It, the fact that I just went from like an Afrobeat kind of singing and then I just, you know, switched to like a you know, American rapping, smooth, chill. It's just, it's fun, it's exciting. So I'd say my sound is more of like a global citizen-esque, you know, with the different cultures that I pull from.
Yeah, and obviously COVID has made it a little tougher, but you're a big traveler. You love, I mean, you went to Brazil on your own.
Yeah,
right?
That was my first solo travel, man.
Okay,
shout out to Brazil.
But still, so like, what's been your favorite place to travel to?
Brazil.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Really?
Easily.
So that
no
wasn't
question.
just luck that I mentioned your Brazil trip.
Nah,
nailed it.
Yeah.
Nah, you be on it. So I'd say it's between Brazil and also Mexico, because every time I go to Mexico, it's a great. I've been to Mexico 3 times. It's always a great time.
Wow.
But essentially, Brazil was just a chance for me. You talk about, you know, venturing out of your comfort zone, right? I had never traveled anywhere by myself, and this was like,
I'm getting anxiety thinking about traveling by myself right now.
and it was funny because I told my mom, I was like, yo, moms, I'm going to travel to Brazil by myself. And she was like, Eddie, why are you going to Brazil? So I went to Brazil, and this was around definitely fall of last year. And what was cool about Brazil was the people were so down to earth, right? They all speak Portuguese, which I can't speak. So I was heavy on the Google Translate and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
But what was actually crazy was every one of my excursions got canceled because it was raining when I got there. So I was like, oh my gosh, right. I'm in Brazil.
When it rains, it pours, man.
It rains. I'm just like, I done paid all this money. I'm here now. What I'm gonna do? So what I ended up doing was, you know, I went to the mall, went to the restaurants. I even hiked for about 7 miles through the city, just like, you know, going through and just checking things out.
That's a lot shorter than your, you know, Atlanta to New York jog.
Right. I know, right?
I'm sure 7 miles was like no fucking problem.
Right. But the icing on the cake for me ultimately was, this was like 2 days before I got out of Brazil, right? It was this company called Trip Tour, and that's spelled Trip and T-U-R. And it's a mom and pop. It's like literally this husband and wife who run it. And it's an ATV experience, right?
Ooh.
So again, all my excursions got canceled, so I got my money back from them joints. And I hit them up. I'm like, yo, I seen y'all on Google. Like, I really want to go out and, you know, just hit the ATV. And they're like, oh, you need 4 people. And I was like, damn, but it's solo.
Like,
I ain't got
no
4 people.
friends in Brazil. I'm sorry. I'm here by myself.
Nobody. But not thought about it. So I was just like, can I just pay the price of 4 people for just me? And they was like, duh, like we just want the money. We don't care about the people. You know what I'm saying? So I literally just
exactly.
paid.
We'd rather not have 3 more fuckers to deal with.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I literally just paid them. Again, I've been refunded from everything else. So I just paid them that price and I went out that day. And it was the best experience, bro. Literally for like a smooth 2 hours. Like imagine we riding roadside. You know, husband and wife, they ahead of me. I got my own thing going crazy. Riding from the roadside, and we hit these beautiful, gorgeous beaches in Brazil, right?
Wow.
And it was even pouring a little bit. But again, ATV can take on everything.
Yeah.
So we ride from that, and then we go through the woods. Amazing. We just riding through that. And then my favorite part was when we hit the dunes, bro. I didn't even know Brazil had deserts out there.
Yeah.
And we riding up and down and just going crazy. So that experience sealed the deal for me, just because, one, it wasn't something I could just get on TripAdvisor and make happen. I had to like really make some shake by reaching out directly. And then the experience itself was just so A1.
Did you not try to find 3 Brazilian girls to go on a free excursion with you?
Hey.
Opportunity missed.
Hey, look,
friend.
listen. No, trust me, we turned up in Brazil. I turned up in Brazil,
Yeah.
for sure, on that front. You
No,
know
it
what I
definitely
mean?
reminds me of my Costa Rica horseback riding experience. Not as cool as ATVs necessarily, but still, we went from like in the middle of the jungle to like these hillsides on a farm kind of thing to the beach, and just literally seeing those 3 different settings within the 2 hours that we were doing. That was just mind blowing, man. And it was so incredible. So it kind of reminds me of that.
That's fire.
But Henry,
Is it time?
I think it's time for the favorite segment,
Everyone's favorite.
everyone's favorite segment of the One More Time podcast. I think it's their favorite because I'm not leading it. This is something led by my friend Henry with a 3. Henry, let's get it.
It's the rapid fire rampage.
Rapid fire.
Hopefully Archer doesn't come at us if we get really big for that soundbite.
Maybe we could just do a partnership.
I would love that. So the rapid fire rampage, Mr. Prohaize, is a 3-part rampage.
Okay.
I'm going to fire some short answer questions at you. Just give me a quick answer. Then I'm going to do a this or that, give you 2 choices, you pick one. And then I'm going to do a word association, give you 1 word, you give me 1 word off the top of your head, right back.
Is it just going to be 3 questions or it's going to be a whole bunch?
3 parts. 3 parts. Yeah, multiple.
Buckle up.
It's a rampage.
But what I'm saying is like,
He'll let you know these
within the
again.
parts are a bunch of questions. Or
yes.
is it like 1 question each part?
1 part at a time.
Yes.
Multiple questions per part.
Do the short answer part.
He's very thorough.
sounds
He wants to know what he's getting into.
It
I
should sound
don't know
stressful.
what I'm getting into. It's hella stressed, but let's get it.
That's why it's a rampage, my friend. Here we go. Rapid fire rampage. Prohaize. Initiate rampage. First question of the short answer. Give us 1 artist in your top 5 all time.
Tupac Shakur.
Give us 1 soccer player in your top 5 of all time.
Lionel Messi.
Who's not with Barcelona anymore, man.
Yeah, shout out to PSG. They really got a solid one.
Saint Germain. They're going to be a force.
Yeah.
Give us 1 genre of music you secretly like.
Folk.
Whoa. Cool. That's cool. Joe Biden exiles you from America. Where do you go to live?
Man, I'm headed straight to Brazil.
If you were in the music industry, but not as an artist, what would you be doing?
Oh, this is supposed to be rapid, right? If I was in the music industry, honestly,
First thing you think of.
damn, can I be a manager? I would want to manage people.
Sure. Absolutely.
Shit, definitely managing.
You can be anything you set your mind to.
Here we, all right, mom. Nah, for sure.
Give us 1 underground artist that more people should know about.
Prohaize. The fuck?
Love it.
Give us 1 of the dumbest things you've ever done. Let's humanize you a little bit.
One of the dumbest things I've
Because you
ever
seem like a
done.
golden boy.
Nah, not
So
at
we
all.
really need
nah,
you
fuck
to-
no.
Although maybe it was like those early years in Ghana when he was being a shithead.
Easily that. Oh, I ran away from school at the age of 9. This was the same year before I left Ghana and came to US. I ran away from boarding school And it literally was a whole full day of expedition to get back with my grandma because I missed her so much. That's how semi-spoiled and sheltered I was. I was like, I can't be here without my grandma. I'm going to leave this school and go back to the mountains. And I literally spent all day, like I was like begging like, you know, truck drivers and people for like rides. And like, you know, one person would get me to this point, the next one would get me to that point. It was just crazy.
That's kind of dumb.
But even his bad thing was like so sweet.
Yeah.
He misses his
Like
grandma so much that he
intentions.
wants to, you know, hitchhike his way to the mountainside back to his grandma's place.
But you got to think about it. I'm so young. Like somebody can snatch me. Anything could happen, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're glad that you're still here to this day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It all worked out.
Let's flip that. Give us one of the best decisions you ever made.
One of the best decisions I ever made was to always just go for what I believe in. Just, you know, from music to Justice Trail to, you know, school, work, people that I, you know, hold near and dear to my heart. It's just always just go for what you believe in.
Love it. If you could work with any producer, live or dead, who is that person?
Kanye West.
Great answer.
Keep it a buck. I need that. I need that Kanye plug, and he got to bring Mike Dean in the session. It's still produced by Kanye, but you got to sauce it up with Mike Dean.
That's a tall order. You got to add Mike Dean in there.
Anything's possible in the rapid fire Rampage.
That's right.
Yep.
The year is 2023. You just opened a restaurant. What is it?
Man, I'm serving a Japanese fusion with Ghana.
Whoa.
I think that's going to be a wild situation.
Can I invest?
For sure.
Are you raising?
We're trying to get in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Part one of the Rampage.
I got my own GoFundMe right here in my pockets. Just, you know, slide me the credit card and debit card. We're going to figure it out.
Part one, you're doing great so far, man.
That was fantastic. We're moving on to the this or that. I'm going to give you two choices. You just pick one.
Okay.
Starting off with, and this is the first one's interesting here. You could interpret this a couple ways.
Okay.
Soccer or football?
Soccer. I was just playing soccer this morning.
Yeah, but football.
Football. That's right.
Football.
Are they both soccer?
Joga bonito.
Beer or liquor?
You should have put wine in there somewhere. I'll take liquor, though.
Not one of the choices.
I'll take liquor.
I think I know the answer to this one based on the podcast so far, but America or Africa?
Africa.
Ooh, okay.
You literally thought it was America for sure, didn't you?
Because he was like ready to leave.
You were big wrong.
I was.
Biden literally just exiled me, remember?
Yeah, but you went to Brazil, not Ghana.
Yeah.
I meant to say, and you know what?
How did you ditch your family that's still in Ghana?
Here's
You
the
said,
crazy
"Peace
part.
out, I'm going to Brazil."
Yo, can we redo that question? Because I was literally
No.
like,
No,
That's
I
one I'm not
was
editing.
going to say,
Your family's going to hear this and they're going to...
I was literally going to say, oh, fuck that. I was like, I meant to pick Ghana, but
I set you up to say Ghana, but you didn't say Ghana.
I know.
He's going to be in Brazil lonely by himself with no family or friends.
Another one
Bro,
that
I turned up in Brazil. Trust me. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Another one that we might have kind of got a hint at during the podcast. House party or the club?
House party.
Indeed. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Day or night?
Night.
I thought you'd be a day guy.
Day is cool, but I'm most inspired at night. When everybody, here's the thing about me, and why I love at night. It's something about realizing that everybody or most people are asleep in the eastern part.
It's my
God,
favorite part about it.
I hate that you're agreeing with
I'm
Henry.
about to like overcome and just kill y'all.
Yes, there's no distractions like at 2 a.m. You can just unplug and you don't have to answer phone calls or reply to text messages and shit like that. So
And
That
don't
just
let
sounds
me
like an
stay up all
excuse.
night. Because it's a rap at that point.
yeah.
The output is just out of here.
Moving on to TV shows or movies.
Oh wow. Let's do it. Oh, that was a
That's
question.
it? Yeah,
Oh,
which one?
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Nah, I'm TV shows now. I used to be movies, but
It's a
TV
series,
shows
man.
now. Yeah.
Series guy.
Yeah.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
T-shirt or button down?
T-shirt.
And this is another one that we might have gotten an answer for in studio or at a show.
Damn. I had to say at a show.
Indeed.
Easily at a show.
And then the one I've been looking forward to, rapping or singing?
Rapping.
Second part of the Rampage.
Rapping.
Even though you've moved into a more melodic space now.
Yeah, rap. Always rapping.
The rap's in your heart. Here we go. Final part of the Rampage. It's the word association. I'll give you one word. You spit the first word off the top of your head right back at me.
Okay.
Time.
Money.
Cryptocurrency.
Wild.
Casamigos.
Turn.
Stage.
Kill it.
Video games.
Leisure.
Stress.
Hell no.
Fashion.
Prohaize. You see the hoodie? You see it. You see it.
I didn't design it. Atlanta.
Amazing.
Jerk.
The fuck? Caribbean, Jamaica. When you said jerk, I don't know why I like thought of
off. It could have gone different ways. That's why I thought it was a good one.
Jerk chicken.
Biden.
Interesting.
Kanye.
Go.
What a rampage.
What a rampage, folks. What an episode. This has been a pleasure having you on, man. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time.
That's awesome. No, like I said, we know each other. We've worked together, but having you on the podcast to really tell the people your story and helping.
He's got stories.
And and I mean, we just scratched the surface. That's what I, love about having people on is, try to highlight the things that, they want to make sure that their audience knows and that our audience can gain a lot of insights from. But this is by no means, the whole book, right?
Yep.
These are, highlights from certain chapters.
Cliff notes.
Yep. This is the Cliff Notes for sure. But we hope that, everyone out there gained a lot from this conversation with Prohaize. If you don't mind, please please follow, please subscribe, drop a comment, tell a friend, tell your friend's friend.
Tell your friend to tell a friend to tell a mama.
Exactly. We're here every week, every Thursday, in your face. And until next week, Henry.
We out of here.
We out.
Love.
Peace.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Hop up in that foreign skirt, no. All the homie, this shit tripping, no. Middle finger to the law.